Hey, so Grand Rising and peace to everyone. Today we are looking at rituals because, like, those days when I hear the word rituals, all I'm thinking about is blood sacrifice, sometimes even human sacrifice. It's like a prominent person who dies, like, I use the wife for rituals, he used the child, does that. When we heard the word rituals, all we thought about was evil, and we didn't even take time to look at definition of the word ritual, and didn't even realize in our churches what we did every day were basically rituals. We are so brainwashed to the extent that everything around us became so fearful because we're always thinking of evil, and we fear the day we'll even die, because like if you haven't repented at the time you died, then you're going straight to hell, you're going to burn in fire. Meanwhile, the sun is shining on us every day. We cook with fire, we do everything with fire. It's not burning you, but you fear that fire that your dead body is going to burn in. Anyway, so just a simple dictionary, Oxford Popular School Dictionary, and ritual basically is a series of actions used in a religious or other ceremony. So if you have other definition or any other discussion, you can put it in the comment section so we all learn. So in my ex-church, for instance, a typical ritual for Sunday would be opening prayer, praises, worship, collection of tithes and offering, and they'll never take it out. If they don't take it that day, then church do not go on, and then the preaching will come, testimonies, all that. So on every Sunday on a normal basis, these are the things that were going to be done. And there are people who'd always skip some sections because, like, either they are working or having fun somewhere and they don't want to be bothered, especially those prayers that has to do with sin and asking God to forgive you your sins. Yeah, maybe you had some hot Saturday night at the club partying, doing something. You don't want to be bothered about the sin. You just want to be present, give your offering, hear the word of God, let everybody know you just came to church, and then go home. So if rituals are a set of practices used in a religious way, and Christians have their own, then why is that when it comes to traditional people just hear the word ritual and they're afraid, they don't want to go near people? When they see people putting on beads, today I'm not in any African beads, but when they see people in beads or some curries or some piercing rings, nose rings, all of them, like, oh, these are ritualists and they are doing things. Meanwhile, Christians know very well they are not the only people in this world. They are people of all kinds of doctrines and belief systems, and people practice their belief systems as per where they came from, or how they were brought up. So as an African, we should be proud of the kind of rituals we engage in to enhance balance between us and ancestors and the universe as a whole, because sometimes we do face discrimination in places. Yes, so a Christian is not ashamed to carry her Bible or other things or dress fashionably to church every Sunday. The Muslim is not ashamed of her hijab or other things she has to do, like praying 5 times a day. All these things are rituals that testify to the kind of religion they belong to. Some of the typical rituals a traditional person would have to engage in. For most people, the basics starts with pouring libation. And when it comes to libation, you work with what is within your tribe or culture or geographical location. I hear in some places where there is abundance of milk, that's cow milk. They even use cow milk in pouring libation. Some use honey, others use palm oil and spirits or wine for like strong invocations, and to an extent, most people would also indulge in food offerings. And when it comes to food offerings, it also depends on with deity or energies or spirits you're working with. So some just go by fruits, probably for a vegetarian. Others go strongly with meat and blood. All depends on what you're working for. And for some, it's usually just staple foods. The staple food could be cooked or just the vegetable foods from the market, just as it is, depending on where you are doing your offering. So with all these things, you have to work with your diviner or traditional priest to help you to know what kind of offerings you are to give, and exactly where you need to give them, and in what measure you're even supposed to give them. So to you're able to know some of these things, it becomes confusing. Sometimes you would see some of these rituals like this person's ritual is more dangerous than mine, or looks crazier than mine. But I mean, until you go deeper to understand why certain groups or factions perform some rituals, you will never understand. For some rituals, they are never meant to be in the open, even to be documented, and never mention it again. And for spirituality, it's a very personal journey. Or sometimes, if it has to do with group, then it becomes a group spiritual work, and it just stays within the group. So until you understand the dynamics of all these things when it comes to our culture, traditions, and spirituality, if you're not careful, you'll be looking at somebody's culture as like, oh, this people's culture is dirty, is nasty, mine looks better. But the question is, who sets the standard? As far as I know, we are all embodiments of the unknown creator, and each one expresses the creator in the way that makes meaning to them. That's why we even have the elements, and people have been accustomed to these elements based on where they found themselves in. So you realize most of people that are coastal dwellers would work with marine spirits. People that are inland would work with maybe forest spirits like the dwarves and other things. Others work with fire elements and air. All these things are like deep parts of spirituality. So just know who you are and know what you have to work with. So you just don't go online, see people's rituals like, oh, I like this one, I want to participate. Maybe it may not work with your energy, and then now you're having issues. Then you begin to generalize spirituality is dangerous. Like they used to teach us at church, because the point is, either most of our pastors were brainwashed, or they didn't understand the dynamics of our culture and traditions, because over a long time, like, don't talk about it, don't even mention about it. So eventually it becomes a norm that one pastor said our culture, our traditions are evil. So every pastor that comes afterwards think it is evil, without taking time to sit, analyze everything, and realize no, it's an everyday thing, and it's part of our lives. Because for me, 5 years ago, if you had told me anything about culture, I remember one time I was going through an issue, and a friend who used to visit a spiritualist just blessed some water for me to drink. I'm like, oh, demonic water I will not drink, yes. So that's it. But who knows, maybe if I'd taken it in at that time, it would have helped me a long way. But if a pastor blessed it, it's okay. And I understand sometimes it has to do with our orientation and what we hold dear to. And of course, you wouldn't just want to go anywhere and be taking things in and just subscribing to things because you feel we are all one and we should be understanding of each other. Because definitely some people always have ulterior motives towards you. So be safe out there, just know what you are practicing, and even be safe with that, and just make sure it's bringing balance between you and whoever is around you. Otherwise you'd have to reevaluate what you're doing again. So yeah, peace and balance to us all. Okay.